All right, so we're asking the question, are you in or out on Caleb Farley reaching his potential as a first-round draft pick? On Twitter, I just see somebody say, been out since the day he was drafted. Hope he proves me wrong. I see Justin and somebody else saying in on Twitter. Zach, what's the chat saying here? Are you in or out on Caleb Farley living up to his first-round potential?
I actually think this is kind of the timing of this question is kind of perfect, right? Because he hasn't played much football. I'm tired of saying that. But he also has a lot more football that he could play, right? So but the Titans aren't willing to let him play football. So
they couldn't afford to against the Raiders. I think we understand that situation. You can't afford to play. The Titans felt like they couldn't afford to play him against the Raiders.
But again, when are they going to be able to afford it?
No, yeah, I'm with you. Every week's big in the NFL, especially when you start 0-2.
And especially when the Jags are winning the way that the Jags are winning. G-Man says out. Ryan says in. Still in 100% from Steven. Very out from Tighten Up. Way out from Assad. Big in from MF Loco. Wow. So that you got way out and big in. That means that we've asked the right question.
Yeah. Or those two people are just kind of crazy.
Bama Brad says out. Let's see. Fire says in. Dwayne says out. Scott says out. Farley is a bust. So Brian is out. Eric is in. Tyler is out. Jody and Patrick and Matthew and Amar are still in. So is Jake. Nick's going all out caps for me, out. Alex says out. Trevor says in. Xavier says in. All the way in there from Fire. He already voted. In. Patience from Stephen King. Very in from Nas. Out from Caleb, not Farley. He's a bust. Hot Doobie says in. In from Mike. So, look, I think, again, it justifies that this is a good question. And Max says, coach him the F up. I'm in. And that's kind of what Mike Vrabel is saying, is that we just need more time to coach him. They were unable to coach him when they drafted him because of his back injury. Then they were unable to coach him after he tore his ACL last year in his first start of his career.
Yeah.
That healed up, and they were able to coach him in training camp, but that coaching has not took.
Yeah, like Joe Rexroad from The Athletic led off the string of Caleb Farley questions that lasted over 4 minutes in the press conference yesterday with something like, is it not translating from the practice field into the game for Caleb? Because I think if you asked, I'm not saying every Titans media member who was at training camp, but if you asked almost all their answers would be that, yeah, Farley had a good camp. Like, he was solid. Like, you get beat. Training camp, you win days and you lose days. And that's everybody. Doesn't matter unless you're Derrick Henry in a sand pit, because he doesn't lose days in a sand pit. But, like, everybody loses reps in training camp and wins reps. Like, there were so many times in training camp where Farley was getting his hand on a football because of how long he is. Like, it was just he made windows extra tight in man coverage because of his length and his ability to close. And so you felt good. There were mental busts and coverages in camp that led to the emergence of Racey McMath. It led to other guys making plays down the field over him. Zach, I'm still in on Caleb Farley. It's just too early in his football life. And I say football life.
Been saying that for a while.
Right, because it's like he's still in like high school years of experience. Like Roger McCreary.
That's the Titans' fault.
Yes, it is. Roger McCreary is the exact opposite of Caleb Farley. Roger McCreary is the undersized guy who has been playing with a chip on his shoulder and been playing the cornerback position his entire life. And he went to Auburn. It was a badass at Auburn, and he was a top 35 pick in the NFL because the Titans liked what he was right now as an experienced corner. Caleb Farley was a wide receiver up into his second year at Virginia Tech. And so there's just a big difference in running forwards and running backwards for a living. And so Caleb Farley's having to change up. This isn't going from a left tackle to a right tackle or offensive lineman to a defensive lineman. This is a wide receiver to a corner is so different.